Hey, CHEM 1030 students. I apologize for the lateness of this video. Please note that there is a new news item posted by Professor Molish about what you're doing in lab this week. I know some of you are going to lab today, but do take a look at this announcement that she posted yesterday. All right, as I go down to my content, we are on week 13. If I come up here to the course schedule first, I've actually got it open over here and scroll down to week 13. This is where we are. We do have lecture and lab this week. Lecture's pretty standard. We have our Pearson assignments. There is one additional discussion board assignment. I see some of you have already started on it. That is due at the end of this week, so pay attention to that. Lab is experiment 10, and in lab, we'll see this in the course content, you are talking a little bit about your lab exam that you're taking. Not next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. We do have lecture material. We do have chapter 12 next week. This week is chapter 11. Next week is chapter 12. There is no lab next week because Thanksgiving break takes away our Wednesday, so Tuesday's lab also doesn't meet. The following week, the week after Thanksgiving, we do have our lab exam taken in lab. And so you will be preparing for that. And your lecture will be preparing for your final exam. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. And then your final exam is the week of December 4th through 8th. It is whichever day you have lab, that's when you're taking your final exam. Again, we'll talk more about that in next week's video. So let me come over here and scroll down. We're in module 4. We are in week 13. This course overview is where you're seeing this. If we take a look, again, fairly typical lecture, chapter 11 with the additional COVID-19 discussion board assignment. Lab is fairly typical, except you don't have a lab next week, and so there is no pre-lab, so you're just doing experiment 10 and the post-lab, and you will spend some time during lab this week talking about that lab exam. And we've got some information in our week 13. So let me come back out here to week 13 and let's go on to lecture. Lecture is pretty typical. We're in chapter 11. You've got your pre-lecture assignment, your guided lecture notes, slides, and videos, your post-lecture assignment, post-lecture adaptive follow-up if you have to do it. And then here's the discussion about your COVID-19 discussion board assignment. You have some videos to watch. And then when you go to that discussion board, make sure you read the instructions for your post. Again, some of you have already started posting that, so make sure you're answering the questions here. All right, and come back to lecture. All right, so that's all we have for lecture this week after our COVID-19 assignment is there. I will point out that in our lab folder, you've got your experiment 10 this week, but there is some information about your lab exam, and you will be talking about it in lab. So if I look at that lab exam overview, there's a little bit of information about what it's going to look like, how long it's going to take, what you can bring. You're taking this during lab the week after Thanksgiving, and then a study sheet, essentially reminding you of the kinds of things you might see on the lab exam. So that's what we've got going on this week. Chapter 11. Next week is chapter 12. You just have lecture next week because of Thanksgiving break. The following week, you are taking your lab exam and preparing for the final. And then the following week, you are taking the final exam. So we are coming down to the end. Please do holler if you have any questions or concerns, and have a good week.